Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into MJT Football. Three friends who love to talk football, but we're always looking for a fourth, so hit that subscribe button. Today's show, we're going to go over our takeaways from all 14 games of last Sunday. If you're new here, we basically just talk about football, just like I said in that stupid voice at the top of the screen, but we're going to play a little opening. Before that, I want everybody to prepare. I want everybody to gather around because the greatest backup quarterback is taking the field this weekend, and Taylor Heineke is ready to take command. Woo!
Wow, that was short.
I know. It caught me off guard. I forgot. Whoever made that's an asshole. Thank you, everybody. If this is your first time listening to the show, if you're listening on the audio version, join us on YouTube. Subscribe over here. Lots of great things going on. Don't want to miss out on all the clever little shorts that these gentlemen put together every week. Last week was a tough week. A lot of teams. And I'm glad we took an extra day to do this because I needed it to cool off. Had we done this show like Monday or even yesterday, I probably would have lost my mind. I started making a list of all the position groups in the NFL that are failing, that are just way, way underperforming, suck, whatever it is. But we don't need to get into that. Before we get into our first game, we're going to talk about how you guys doing?
Joe? How you feeling, Joe?
I'm refreshed, ready to go. Had a week off, didn't have to watch the Raiders and have to make up excuses of why they lost this week. So I feel really great coming after the bye week. Here comes our easy part of the schedule. So get ready for the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm excited. I didn't have to hear that for a week. I feel rested and relaxed as well from that. Chargers on a 3-game win streak. We already are doing what the Raiders need to do.
Yeah, I think that was actually really, it's got to be nice for Raiders fans just to have a week off from some sort of devastation. Because if you guys come out of a bye week and you lose to the Texans coming off a bye week,
First overall pick.
Wow, the nation is about to fall apart.
The first overall pick's on the line in this game, Tony. It's a pretty big game. Both sides trying to lose.
It is. The Texans are actually a half a game better than the Raiders in the loss column, but I believe the Raiders are favored by 6.5.
Yeah, we're not previewing this week right now. Let's move on. Let's go back to what we saw in the last week. And then later on this week, we could talk about how great the Raiders will be.
I was basically just trying to cover the teams on the bye that took an L, even though they had the week off, and that's always going to be the Raiders. The first game of the week that we would like to talk about was last Thursday night. In another game that I feel like we shouldn't dedicate any time to. I will say this, though. I've been on these rants for the last couple of weeks on the show, and every week I'm like, the NFL's so greedy, and they're constantly taking money and all the things. Did you know they announced a Black Friday game next year? They're going to play a game on Black Friday on Amazon Prime is the only place that you can see it. So now they're adding more games in the middle of the week because they can't get enough money. They're just so damn greedy. But the Commanders and Bears played one of the worst games of the season, only to be topped by pick your favorite Russell Wilson game and plug it in there. And Bears, I think in the long run, this loss is actually going to be good for them. Because wins like that, if they stack up enough of those, they get pushed out of the top 5. And I think they need to be in that hunt to get somebody like Will Anderson from Alabama for Matt Eberflus. They need to be up there in the top 5, and they either need to be getting the top left tackle in the draft or they need to be getting one of the best defenders in the draft. That's all I know. That's not happening on the show. You are 6-0, Johnny Talk Sports. I'm just going to go ahead, take my hat off right now.
Hello.
Daddy's had a little struggle in that league, but I'm coming back. 3-3. Big win this week. Need it. Got to have it. Taylor Heineke. I started off the show. He's playing this week, and that's all I can say is that I'm excited about that. I got nothing to really take away from this game other than both these teams are horrible.
There's not much to talk about. My God. I picked the Bears in my Survivor, so I'm out of the Survivor because I thought the Bears were going to come out there and kick the Commanders' butt. And that's what they did. They actually did. The Bears came out and they would have been down the field. This first half, for some damn reason, they went for it on fourth down twice, didn't get the touchdowns, missed the field goals. And then the muff punt at the end of the game is what really cost them the game because other than that, Washington had nothing going for them. Washington is a horrible team, horribly coached, and their coach doesn't want to be there. Nobody wants to be there. This whole organization is on the way down, and we get to see the Taylor Heineke, and I don't know why Tony's happy about it. It's like the fourth time that we get to go, it's Heineke season, and nothing's going to come from it.
Oh, yeah. Fireworks, my friend.
All I know is
from it.
Oh, go ahead.
Come from it. More Terry McLaurin targets, hopefully.
Yes.
I am sick and tired of Carson Wentz. I thought Carson Wentz was a severe upgrade for Terry McLaurin. Nope. Opposite. So I'm happy with Taylor Heineke. Also, I'm not happy with the way it happened. I don't want Wentz to be injured. But yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I think these two teams, and sorry, Harrison, the Panthers, might be the least exciting teams to watch in the league right now just because their O-lines are so bad, and where they have some strength is on defense, so they keep the game low scoring, but then you got to watch the miserable offenses. Hopefully we don't see too many matchups on Thursday Night Football like this the rest of the way. Doesn't it? What we got? Cardinals, Saints? Fade the Saints, fade the Cardinals? Battle of the fades?
Well, I think there's a lot on the line for that game, actually.
Both sides need to win.
Yep. We're done with Thursday. Let's go to, okay, here it is. New York Giants. New York Giants. Congratulations, guys. Like, I'm going to give it up. And I text these guys this week, and I have come to the conclusion of why I hate the Giants so much. And it is because Brian Daboll is just pulling magic with that offense. Like, Daniel Jones isn't the answer. I'm sorry. He's just not the long-term solution to what they're trying to do there. The reason I'm so mad about it is because the Chargers could have hired Brian Daboll 2 years ago and be in year 2 of Daboll and Herbert together. And I think that the offense would look drastically different. Now, I know there's a lot of issues going on. We got cracked rib cartilage and a banged up offensive line and all that stuff that's happening or whatever. I still look at what the Giants are winning with, and Brian Daboll is a miracle worker as far as I'm concerned. Because I'm watching this team and I'm like, okay, they went and got an aggressive D coordinator that's like, shit, what's the worst that can happen? We give up points or whatever. Like, who gives a shit? We're not that good. We don't have that much talent. He's maximizing it. 5-1. Congratulations, G-man.
Tony's never going to give Danny Dimes the credit he deserves. You didn't see Rex Ryan out there talking about how Daniel Jones is an exceptional athlete and one of the top quarterbacks in this league, and that he knew it ever since he was drafted, that this guy was special. Look, we talked about this on our preview show about this game. What do we say? The thing that the Giants could do to beat this game was with Martindale going in there, knowing something about the defense or knowing something about the offense and how to stop Lamar Jackson. After the game, who did Brian Daboll congratulate and point at and say, great game plan? Was Martindale, the defensive coordinator. That's what it came down to. But Ravens, what happened? You did it again. This is the third loss that they were up by 10 or plus more points, and they lost it in the fourth quarter. Something is making this team, and I don't know what it is, Tony. Why are they collapsing in the fourth quarter of every game that they have leads in? If any team should be 6-0, this should be one of the teams that are 6-0.
And typically it's been the defense that's been selling for the Ravens and giving these big leads back with big plays and blown coverages and penalties and all that stuff in the second half. But this time, their quarterback actually sold the game for them. Terrible interception. Fumbles the snap, decides to roll out. He's Lamar Jackson. I'll give you credit. Go ahead, roll out. But throw that ball away. He throws it across his body into coverage. It gets intercepted. Next time he gets the ball back, trying to make too much happen in the pocket instead of just taking a check down, gets sacked for a fumble. So the quarterback actually sold this one. And it seems like now we got a little bit of a pattern here for the Ravens where the coach sold one, the defense sold one, and now the quarterback sold one. And I'm a huge Ravens fan. I think this Ravens team has potential to have only one loss this season if they just put it together in the fourth quarter.
they're definitely better than their record shows, and one of those teams that when they do figure it out and get it together late November and December, I think they're going to be a tough team to beat as long as he can stay healthy. And just this stop hating on Danny Dimes stuff. Give me a break, guys. I am the person who supports backup quarterback. I champion the underdog. My problem is that I keep being sold this bill of goods that he's the future when I could make a strong case. He's like the 7th best quarterback in the NFC East. Like, it's not even in like 2 years, he's going to be a very strong backup on somebody's team. I can't imagine that his decision-making and he fumbles the ball all the time. It's just not good. It's not hate. It's a realistic conversation.
Not to go too much into it because I don't want to drag the show out, but do you guys think Lamar is pushing a little bit, like pressing just a little bit more because he wants to show off to get that bigger contract to show them the organization like, hey, you guys screwed up. You should have signed me earlier. But now towards the end of the games, he's trying to be that hero, like to get that paycheck.
Yeah, I think he needs to just play his game. He needs to play his game, attack on the ground, and try and get these defenses to come up on him. That's when he can hit guys over the top. Because the way they have this offense designed, the middle of the field workers are the tight ends, Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. These guys are possession catch, short yardage to medium yardage guys. And then they have the flyers on the outside, a bunch of speed demons. So that way when you come up to defend the inside play of tight ends, quarterback, and the running backs, they start throwing over the top outside. But if Lamar is rolling right after fumbling the snap and throwing across his body, you don't give yourself any time to set up anything. You just kill the drive right then and there and give the ball back to New York. And he's just got to play within his own game, take what the defense is giving him early in the game, and then start going crazy. Not just think that he can juke every single all 11 defenders out on every play.
Yeah, and we always talk about this. He's not the most gifted passer, but he's been a little off on some of these deep shots. I'm seeing him miss Duvernay deep. I saw him miss Tylan Wallace deep like a couple Sunday Night Footballs ago. Like, you're just seeing him not hit some of these passes that have been money in the bank. I think they just signed Deshaun Jackson, which as a Chargers fan is just more 9 route guys that they're just like could have had for nothing. Like, we just need 10 go balls a game. That's it. Just somebody to pretend like we're going to throw it deep. Anyways, Colts Jaguars. What the F happened in this game? Like, Trevor Lawrence has one of those drives that's going to be like a signature drive in this game. It was like the fourth quarter, like a 10-minute drive, puts it together, goes all the way down. They score. They take the lead. And then Matty Ice turns back the hands of time and pulls out a victory.
To a different universe, to a different lifetime. Like Matt Ryan just out of nowhere going 42 of 60. What is this?
I don't know. Pre-28-3 Matt Ryan right there. It was a fantastic game to watch. It was really entertaining. I found myself being just hooked into this game. I'm a big fan of Alec Pierce. It was nice to see him have another good game out there. My takeaway is this. The Colts, if they could get Matt Ryan just to come back for another year, I don't think they're a Super Bowl team, but I don't think they'll start off another season where they're like 1-4 before they figure shit out. It seems like every year they're starting off super slow because there's no continuity. And if they could just get Matt Ryan to roll the helmet back out there for one more year, I bet they could start off next year like 3-1, 4-1 or whatever, and then collapse down the stretch because Matt Ryan's old. It'll just reverse the ship a little bit.
Well, the crazy part about all this, Tony, is that they're 3-2-1. They're like very much in the playoff picture still, even with that awful start.
Yeah, I think they're winning. They're leading the division right now, right?
Really? Oh my god!
I think Titans 3-3.
I want to play in the AFC South.
Wait, am I messing that up?
I know the Colts have 3 wins. I don't know what the standings are.
I don't know what the Titans have off the top of my head. No, they just had a bye, so the Titans are 3-2. Titans smoked the Raiders. Who else did they beat?
That was an easy dub for them too.
Hey, just when we thought ETN was going to get involved, we see Jermichael Hastings come back into this game. Like I'm looking at, I'm watching the run, the big run that he had. What was it, like 60+ yards? And you're like, oh, is that ETN? Like he's in it? And he's like, no, it's Jermichael Hastings. Like what are we doing here? Jacksonville's offense is weird to me, and I don't understand it. Like, how could Trevor Lawrence have such a great game in completion wise, but they don't go anywhere? They don't win this game. Like, I don't understand what they're doing. Are they being too conservative? Because we always thought they were going to come out and just pass the ball and throw it deep and score some touchdowns. What's going on with that Jacksonville offense? I know they're young. They're getting new play systems, but I thought we were going to see a lot more big plays out of them, and it's just not coming. And I don't know. You guys are still the believer in Trevor Lawrence. I'm not there right now. But Matt Ryan, like everybody, we saw that Thursday night game against the Broncos, and we were like, this team sucks. And Matt Ryan, and it sucked through the first couple quarters of this game, and we were like, it sucks again. But Matty Ice turned it on, and I don't know. Without Jonathan Taylor, maybe it clicked because maybe they were trying to go too much with Taylor or focus. I don't know what they were trying to do, but maybe losing Jonathan Taylor is a good thing for this team because they get to focus on some of the other players around them. And then when he comes back, it just makes them an all better team to go along. So I'm starting to buy the Indianapolis Colts getting better as the season goes on.
It is a really positive note for the Colts because you can tell they went and looked at the drawing board. They're like, okay, who do we have? We still have a ton of talent, even with all these injuries. Who do we have? Who can we go to? Michael Pittman has a massive game. Matt Ryan has a massive game. The defense plays a lot better in spots, not necessarily overall throughout the entirety of the game. But when you look at it, they went to the drawing board and they said, we got to make this shit work somehow. And they did. And they turned it around pretty quickly and put out a more positive, even if they lost this game down the stretch, like a way better game than they had against Denver, where they didn't even look like they belonged on an NFL field that night. It shocked me because the way Matt looked, even when he had clean throws, was just bad. And that was the first time I had watched like a full, complete game of him this season. I did not realize how old that he would look in that game. So I was writing the Colts off at that point. Like, the Jags are younger, they're hungrier, they got the new coach, they got this. And no, they do not got this. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Joe. I think that the Jaguars are just still too young to be consistently good. I think they need more receivers still, even though we love Christian Kirk and what he's done so far this year. They're just too young really to be a consistently good team. But once they get that like sprinkle of veterans to come to Jacksonville and you put it together, maybe they'll have another great defense and a good enough offense.
The Jaguars are young and there's some time, and you can see the inexperience more with the secondary when you watch the games. I think the Jaguars want to be a running football team. And we saw Etienne have some, he didn't get the touchdown, but he had some big runs. I think he had like 10 carries for 80 something yards. Like he had some gashing runs in that game. It's just a team that's still finding its way, and they're going to be tough losses and tough on people's schedule at the end of the year. This one right here, when I switched on the show on Friday, when I declared believe and trust in Bill Belichick, and he came through 38-15. And more important than that, oh man, Bailey Zappi. I don't even know what his name is. I don't even know what his first name, because all that matters is y'all got zapped right there. I'm going to make some t-shirts. I got to get some signage on the wall. You guys know how I love backup QBs. My new one is Bailey Zappi. My takeaway from this was Tyquan Thornton can play in the NFL. And he was, I don't know, Mike, how many times did I talk to you about Tyquan Thornton in the preseason? Like,
and guys that can run
times. Every time we did a mock draft for the Chargers, I was like, Tyquan Thornton. Sorry. I wanted him on the team. He looks like a nice, fun weapon that they have not had on the team in a long time. And Ramondre Stevenson. So every time we think Bill's an idiot, he just reminds you he's been in and won more Super Bowls than most people have watched. He's a legend.
Let's just say Mac Jones ain't getting his job back, right? It's like they're moving on. This is not his team no more. They figured it out. And I saw a funny thing. On TikTok. Yeah, I love TikTok. Where a Browns fan was in the stadium and it says like, if for any help or something, text this number. And he texted the number and he said, "Run the damn ball." What is Cleveland doing? You have two great running backs, two very good top running backs, the number one duo in the league. and you're only doing you have 18 carries in a game. Like, come on, run the damn ball, Cleveland. Get back to what you're used to. Jacoby Brissett probably built you up a little bit in the beginning of the season, and you thought that you could start believing in him. But that guy's not it. He's not him of what the young kids say nowadays, right, Mike? I don't know. He's not him. That's not the guy that you're going to build around. Hand the damn ball off. Let Chubb and Hunt do their thing. Sometimes it takes a while to get the running game going. Sometimes you got to go those 3 and outs. But eventually those 2 guys right there break it, and they wear down defenses. And I think the Cleveland Browns have kind of got away from what their identity was the last couple of years, and that's running the damn ball.
I think that Bill and the Patriots, not necessarily they figure out how to stop Nick Chubb. And that's what I was thinking. They're not going to figure out how to stop Nick Chubb. I've seen 9 in the box against him, and they're still finding success. There's not much more you can do than that. But what he did was he found a way offensively to counter Nick Chubb. He sent Bailey Zapp out there and said, this Browns secondary isn't very good. Go throw for 300 yards, kid. Go get these guys on their heels. Let's go get a lead in this game so that way that slows down the run game because the Browns feel like they're coming back the entire game. And, of course, they just played good defense as the Patriots do. Bailey Zapp, 24 34, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns with Myles Garrett chasing him all day. Very impressive game for that young man. And the Tyquan Thornton thing, Tony, I'm excited because I can see Bill, if he can get trust in Tyquan with the football in his hands, using Tyquan similarly to how they used Kendrick Bourne in this offense last year, who had a dynamic role, running the football, throwing the football, flying down the football field. When Jacoby Myers is healthy, he's kind of your possession / red zone threat. Those 2 together can be really good and dynamic. I'm excited to see what Bill does with Tyquan over the next couple of seasons as he gets more trust with them.
Yeah, he's just so fast, and he's actually like a pretty good route runner. And I think at some point people are going to get to see that, where he's going to be a solid player in this league. Bengals Saints. This game drove me absolutely insane. 1, because I picked the Saints. 2, here's the thing. Zach Taylor gives Joe Burrow a certain amount of freedom, right? And I think that's why we see the sacks are so high for Joe Burrow is all of the range that he has to get out there and hang onto the ball and do all this stuff. But then there's also moments where it's like, hey, I'm going to find ways to isolate Jamar Chase and get him in one-on-one coverage while Marshawn Lattimore is inactive in this game, and Jamar's just going to smoke his guy. And they win the game. And I really like that. I wish that more teams, specifically mine, had that kind of relationship with their young star quarterbacks, right? Like, hey, you know the game. You know what's going on. You know the personnel. Go to work. I watched it and I was like, that must just be like a good, healthy relationship. Coach, quarterback, team. Good for the Bengals. Joe? I should have picked the Bengals. Get out of here, Harrison.
No, I don't know what to say about this game. Like, I was trying to get into it, and I was trying to watch Joe Burrow. The only thing I liked about it is watching Jamar Chase come back, and we spoke about this on our preview show that, hey, this would probably be the game that Jamar Chase breaks back out, and he did. He had I don't know if you guys saw it, the 60-yard breakout catch that he had on the nice sideline run, and it looked good, but what's our takeaway of the Saints? Like, 1 week we're like, oh, they're back, they're going to be a great team, and the next week they hang with the Bengals. But I'm not even saying the Bengals are a damn good team. Like, the Saints are throwing me off so much this year that I can't even be like, they put up a great performance against the AFC champions from last year, and they lost. Like, I don't know what to make of both of these teams, and even with it going back and forth, I'm just like, either both of these teams are really, really bad, and that's the reason this game is going back and forth, or it's just a great battle between 2 good teams. And I'm going with the first one, that both teams are just crappy, and it just happened to play out this way. But if you're a fantasy football player, Jamar Chase, this is what you want to see from him.
I think both of these teams are just kind of like middling. They're a little bit of mid out there. But, yeah, I like points that both of you guys said, especially about Joe Burrow and letting him be himself and letting him develop his own game, do all that stuff that you would do for a guy you're about to pay $50 million. And it worked out for him in this game because down the stretch they needed big passes, and he got it out to Jamar Chase, to Tyler Boyd. For the Saints, it just goes to show what we were talking about on the fantasy show, that if they rely so much on Taysom Hill to put up points on the scoreboard, teams are going to come out and they're going to stop Taysom Hill. They got to find someone else that's going to make plays like that. It should be number 41 that's making these plays when Chris Olave and Michael Thomas are out, but it just wasn't quite there for him throughout the game.
Yeah.
Did AK score?
I saw somebody just put this in here. I was just going to give my 2 cents on that fantasy trade. I would trade Breece Hall and Dobbs for A.J. Brown and Chris Olave, especially if your running backs are still going to be Saquon, Mixon, Ramondre, and Ken Walker. That right there.
I keep Dobbs. If it's between Dobbs and Gallup, I'd trade Gallup first.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Gallup's going to be better with Dak Prescott, and I'm not sure what's going on with the Packers. I could see Aaron Rodgers having a hamstring injury and just shut it down.
Well, Rodgers did go to the podium, and he said that we need to simplify the offense, that the receivers don't understand the route concepts. Basically, they suck. And that they had 7 drop passes against the Jets. And that's a big problem, and that they suck. And he said that if our GM has an opportunity to make a trade happen, make it happen. Aaron Rodgers is basically like, these receivers stink. Get the fuck out the room.
I can't win with them. Can't do it.
I can't play with them. Yeah, it's not even that they stink. There's just a ton of inexperience out there, and there's nobody capable of being anywhere even close to number ones he's had in the past. There's no Greg Jennings on this team. There's no Jordy Nelson on this team. There's definitely no Devontae Adams on this team. There's not even a Randall Cobb on this team. The Randall Cobb that's on this team is a veteran. He's a grandfather in football years. Like, he's not the Randall Cobb he was in his prime. So he's playing with a lot of receivers that at this point in their careers are not anything that have resembled what he's had in the past. And we're seeing that. Which is why I would go with Michael Gallup, because I do think
Odell Beckham Jr. Hello.
So we're talking about the Jets Packers now, since we're already on this.
Jets Packers. Yeah, we could skip there if we want. Jets Packers 27-10 Jets. This to me was the upset of the weekend, because Green Bay, you don't lose in Green Bay when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback to a team like the Jets. Go check Favre's resume. It rarely, never, and when I say rarely, I mean never happened. So you don't lose games like this. And in the way that they lost it, 3-3 at halftime, and then the Jets come out and they do all the sort of manhandling out there on defensive line, offensive line. The thing I left with this game was, because I didn't watch it very closely, and I didn't even go back and watch the highlights, was when I saw the points going on the board, I go, oh, Zach Wilson must have hit his stride. And then I look at the box score, and then you look at some of the deeper numbers, and it's like, not very good. I've been seeing the Jets win. They're 4-2. Congratulations. I'm happy for Gang Green. I really am. Like, I'm happy for the Jets and their fans. I'm not sure what's going on with Zach Wilson, though. Like, 0 targets to Elijah Moore. He was a first-round pick last year, or what, like a second-round pick, whatever he was. Come on, get him involved.
Well, they're not asking Zach Wilson to do a lot. They're not doing it. They realize they have 2 good running backs. And Tony, they ran the wing T, and Hall took it all the way for the touchdown. And a touchdown was taken off the board in this game from Sauce Gardner on a pick 6, right? When they said it was hit the ground or whatever they want to say about it. So this defense of the New York Jets, and we talked about it a little bit last week too, some of their veteran players are showing up and making these moves, and they had a great draft. They drafted some of the good players to bring in here, and it's paying off. And these receipts that Robert Saleh said that he was keeping, I hope he starts throwing them out and showing them off. But I don't know. You know, the Jets are 4-2. And I just saw that their playoff what do you call betting on them to make the playoffs is still lower, still 15th best in the AFC according to Vegas, even with this 4-2 start.
It should be they're 4-2, but that division, they're still questionably the worst team in that division.
Yeah.
And Harrison, I'm sorry, before Mike gets on going. Yeah, Harrison, I just saw that the Steelers have Claypool on the block right now. And one last thing, you don't allow somebody to wear a cheese head and run around your stadium for that damn long. Alan Lazard finally knocked it off, but you don't let especially a rookie run around with the cheese head on his head and celebrate on your home field. Like that right there, I couldn't believe the Packers let that happen.
That was a T.O. moment right there. In Dallas, still standing on the star. But, this game, the Packers, man. I should have seen it coming because a couple of weeks ago, remember the Patriots almost got them in Lambeau? And we were all like, damn, is this something? The Packers going to get upset in Lambeau this year? And sure enough, they do a couple of weeks later. I think Robert Saleh should flex this receipt thing because this defense is playing at a very high level for what they have over there. Bunch of young players, talented players, but young players nonetheless. Sauce Gardner is a number 1 cornerback already in the NFL, it looks like. And this is game number 6? He looks really good. It looks like the right choice for them. Overall, Robert Saleh's defense has been keeping them in games, and they just made plays down the stretch of games. Like in that Steelers game, they made those couple plays they needed to make the miracle happen. Cleveland game, made a couple plays they needed to make it happen. I think it's less about the quarterback and more about the coach here in the Jets' success getting into the win column this season early on.
I know, Mike, isn't that refreshing to see a team hire a defensive coach and then that be a signature win that your team gets? Would that be kind of like a cool thing to see?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you get a defensive coach and your cornerback 1 is wearing cheese after games against Aaron Rodgers, not getting benched at halftime.
That is the move of a young man. That's the move of somebody that hasn't in year 4 or 5, let somebody go out there and put on a fireman Ed helmet, and start running around the field, and we'll see how he feels about it. Notice veterans that are borderline sane, they don't really, this isn't the activity of them. This isn't T.O. with pom-poms and pens in the socks and Joe Horns with cell phones. This is taking somebody else's famous merch from the 80s, or as long, it's been around 30 plus 40 years. It's and kind of pouring a little salt in the wound, but good for him. It's fun. It's entertaining. I'm glad it didn't spark any fisticuffs.
How big of a bitch is Aaron Rodgers being though right now? We don't have players. We don't have the wide receivers. I don't like the system. He needs to dummy it down a little bit. Really, how many more excuses? You want him to go get some players, but you fucking took that big contract at the beginning of the season to not help with your payroll. Come on, you knew what you were coming back into. Aaron Rodgers knew what he was coming back into. Maybe he just doesn't have it anymore. Maybe we're seeing the downfall of Aaron Rodgers at the same time that we're seeing the downfall of Tom Brady. It's how much more can Aaron Rodgers just keep throwing people under the bus and then expect them to change it for him?
Yeah, and it might not even all be on the back of that big contract. When you look at the Devontae Adams situation, Devontae Adams didn't leave because of money. Partially money, but he left because he wanted to leave. He wanted to get out of Green Bay. He didn't want to play with Aaron Rodgers anymore. They did the last dance. He gave him his last year with him. That was kind of a warning, hey, I want out of here. I'm leaving. So maybe it's not even necessarily about the contract. Maybe Aaron Rodgers just isn't a fun person to play with.
Well, also too, you don't want to play with somebody who's volatile, emotional, because it's a hard enough sport to keep your own shit together every week and be out there, and then wondering if at any moment he's just gonna pick up a backpack and head to Peru and be gone for the rest of it, just retire midseason. He's alluding to all of these things that he's going to be done in Green Bay, but yet Devontae's supposed to sign to spend his next 4 years there to play with Jordan Love. Of course, he's hey, it's been real, bro. I gave everything I could, but I'm going somewhere where I want to be, my family wants to be, and I can find stability, and stability's not with you. I don't necessarily think Aaron Rodgers is done. I just think you see what happens when you don't have anybody when you don't have the pieces to play with. It is very hard for veteran quarterbacks who are not going to go out there and sell out their bodies at this point in their career. We're seeing Tom Brady. I talked about this all offseason. He's getting rid of the ball super fast, way too early in some cases, because he doesn't trust his offensive line, and he's not interested in taking hits in a week 5, week 6 regular season game at age 45, because you aren't willing to do the same things that you are willing to do when you're 39 and 45 that you were willing to do when you were 26 and 28. It's drastically different. You're not going to be – that's why my whole take on running quarterbacks is that at some point you can no longer have that as an asset for you. You cannot continue to be Michael Vick for 16, 17 games and play football like that. That's not how this game works. It is brutal.
And going and getting wide receivers might not fix the issue either. They can go and trade for Claypool. They can trade for whoever they want. Claypool, sign OBJ, whatever it is, because now you bring in guys from the outside that have experience with other quarterbacks, that have more confidence behind them, and all this is going on, and you're talking at the podium like this instead of having your rookies who just go, yes, sir, Aaron Rodgers. He's going to start talking back to you. And then what's going to happen? Now you got locker room rifts everywhere.
But we also see this as like really what teams are not investing in is the offensive line, because the Packers' offensive line is banged up. It has issues. And the thing that you need more than anything is to be able to hold up for your quarterback. If Aaron Rodgers had time, he would, and he'll figure this out. They'll be 11-5 or, 11-6 or whatever it is, and it'll still be a successful year. I have no doubt the Packers are going to make the playoffs. There's too much talent on this roster, and Aaron Rodgers is too good. It's going to get cold in Lambeau, and that will be a benefit to them, I believe. Maybe not if they get certain teams that can really run the rock. That might be an issue, but they're going to win a lot of games. It's Aaron Rodgers. If I had anything to say, I would say I'm a little worried about the motivation from a guy like Matt LaFleur. Where is it? Where does it come in where you just start saying hey, we are a defensive football team now, and this is our identity, and we're tough, and these guys are going to lead the charge. We're going to take. I know we're paying Aaron $50 million. But we're not paying Aaron Rodgers $50 million necessarily for regular season wins. We're paying for Aaron to show up in January and February. That's why we're giving him $50 million. We don't know if he's going to do that because he hasn't done it. But that's why he's getting $50 million. He's not getting $50 million for a Week 6 win over the Jets. Go ahead, Joe.
Jordan Love season right now. Start it.
J Love. J Love.
Feed the AJs.
I did see, before we head over to the other massive upset, Bucs Steelers, I did see that Dak Prescott, I just got an alert on that, officially cleared to play some football. So the gold rush is over. The copper rush.
No.
I know.
Dak is back, and we're back.
I can't wait till we get together next week and we're like, wait, what happened? Was Dak just rusty? Because he was 20 of 37 for 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and the Cowboys barely beat the Lions this weekend. A team that didn't barely win. I don't know that this is not a good transition, so I'll just say. The Steelers? Are you kidding me? Knock off Tom Brady. And more things just continue to fall out from what's going on there and the relationships and everything else. This was not a massive upset because I think Mike Tomlin's a really great coach. So I don't see it the same upset as the Jets going to Lambeau and beating them there. Steelers are at home. They beat the Bucs by 2 points. Mike Tomlin's a good coach. I'm more so how does this happen? How does it work out where a team that's giving up massive amounts of yards all of a sudden can hang with this offense? That's what I was most just mystified from. Every time Brady got the ball in this game, I was like, all right, here we go. Because I have a pretty good amount of Bucs spread across my fantasy team, or at least important ones this last weekend. And I just kept going, all right, here we go. And it never got going. Never.
I think we're seeing the effect of what happens when Todd Bowles becomes a head coach. He's not focused on this defense anymore. It's not that he's not a great head coach, but when he is taking control of that defense, this defense has been a lot different than it's been in the last. We've never seen, we would never see Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky tear up the Tampa Bay defense like they did and move up and down the field like they did. That's not, and it's just, I think it's just just moving on and having a new coordinator in there. And we've seen it where a good coordinator becomes head coach and they try to do both, or they try to fix it where, and what their specialty is, Todd Bowles' specialty is the defense. It's just not there. And this motherfucker, Tom Brady, is thinking he's better than everybody. Which he is, but you can't miss every damn practice in a week because I'm thinking Tom Brady was like the same thing we were. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They look like shit this year. We're going to go out there and dominate. So he missed Wednesday, Friday, Saturday practices, didn't go because he went to Robert Kraft's wedding. And then he had the audacity to chew out his own damn linemen on the sideline like they were crap. Like, if this guy's not making it to practice, I don't give a damn how many damn rings you have. You ain't at practice. You ain't putting in 100%. Like, no wonder this is horrible. You're not giving us 100%. Why should we give you 100%?
Yeah, there is a problem there because you need 100% from your quarterback. But at the same time, as a franchise, as an organization, as a team, when your quarterback's Tom Brady, how can you be like, hey, guy, get your ass to practice? I mean, I know it's just going to take someone that has balls to just say it to him, but it's tough for them to do is step up and do that in that situation where Tom Brady is bigger than the Buccaneers organization as it is, it feels like. But yeah, I look at the stat sheet. Tom didn't have the worst game of his life. Leonard Fournette had 100 all-purpose and a touchdown. Chris Godwin caught passes. Mike Evans caught passes. It's like they're getting to healthy now, but it's still not real, like translating to a super improved offense. It has to be the offensive line. It has to be the offensive line, and they've got some soul searching to do, and maybe some free agent / trade acquisitions to look at.
It's funny that you say like he looks at the Steelers and goes, "Oh, well, they're not that good." Teams probably look at the Bucs and go, "Oh, they're beatable." You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the same thing. So you need to also be getting to practice and doing stuff. I am 100% okay with Brady being in part-time. Like, and it's basically because he's Tom Brady and he's been doing it for so long. I just don't think that it's really that great for your football team going forward. But I'm not going to look at Tom Brady any differently. Tom Brady has already cemented his legacy in my head. But if I'm other players on the team, I start to look around and go like, man, it's really nice to have them, but wouldn't it be great if we were like working and moving towards the future with somebody, since these are got a lot of good players. Levante David's not got many more trips around the NFL sun. You know, like Devin White's in the prime or whatever, but like Mike Evans, not many more trips around that sun. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it is trash collection day, and I'm big on recycling, so they're going to be.
You want to know? I want to hear, Tony. You want to know what I hear, and I'll put you on the big screen right now. I want an apology from you to Mitchell Trubisky, because when he came in the game, you texted me and Mike, and you said this game is over and Tampa Bay is coming back. So go ahead, give your apology.
Mitch Trubisky, I am sorry for absolutely nothing. You cost me 2 picks this season already, and all I did was say exactly how everybody else was feeling who was watching the game. Go, oh, here comes Mitch. Here comes a couple interceptions. So that's all I did. Mitchell Trubisky, congratulations. You, my friend, had a very nice performance. Played way above your head. Now, if they put him back out here to start a game this weekend and he does terrible, so he just prolonged it a couple of seconds. Big whoop. Big whoop. I am sorry for nothing. Here we go. Falcons, 49ers. This game right here was, I tried to tell you, Joe, this team and Arthur Smith, firing him would be a huge mistake. I don't know what it is. I then saw after the game, it confirmed everything I said about how they feel about Arthur Smith and how hard they play for him. The offensive line and him were drinking beers with the fans in the arena. There's like photo or video of them like having victory Bud Lights. They love this guy. They play so hard. They run the football and they play really aggressive defense. It's not the funnest games to watch, right? Because you just keep thinking, man, they have Kyle Pitts and they drafted Drake London and they don't throw the ball to him. It's like, and they throw it to Zacchaeus and they throw it to Mikael Pruitt, backup tight ends. And you're like, what's going on? But this team is 3-3. My wife works with a Falcons fan, and he's coming in his Falcons gear and feeling real good. He thinks they're going to win this division. And I was like, first of all, you need to keep your eye on this kid because he might be crazy. Crazy like a fox or crazy like an inmate? I'm not really sure. But he's excited about what's going on with the Falcons, Joe. How about you? You excited?
Dirty Birds.
This is what Kyle Pitts scored his first touchdown in the United States is what they were saying. So only they got him a touchdown. this is a different Falcons team, but it's not something that surprised me because I told you guys all week long that the Falcons were going to beat the Niners. I told you that. I told you Jimmy G was going to come out and start off bad. He did, and the Falcons pounced on it. It's not that the Falcons are doing the right thing and they're not turning the ball over, and that's what's making them. They're playing good defense. If you want to give them credit somewhere, and they're, I don't know. I think they still need a shock. This was just the 49ers being the 49ers. Everybody's talking. Everybody like this. It's not an upset because everybody builds the 49ers up like they're a great elite team this year. Like they're an awesome team. Their defense, they're amazing. But they played shitty teams. Their schedule was so damn easy, and then the injuries hit them. They're not a good team. The 49ers are not a good team. Kyle Shanahan and his offense may be figured out by the rest of the league because it's not tricking anybody anymore, and they're not showing anything that's different this year from the past. And you're letting teams like the Falcons beat you? Like, come on. And now, and also, all you Raider fans or you fake-ass Raider fans out there that said, look at Mariota. He did so damn good. Like, we gave up Mariota. Mariota was 13 of 14 for 130 yards. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns, but that's a game fucking manager. He's not nothing different, and he's not going to last it. Like, this was a good game, great win from Atlanta Falcons, but nothing impressive because the 49ers, you don't impress me when you beat the 49ers.
I think that the 49ers do have an elite defense, Joe. I disagree with you. When you look at what they already had in Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, and these guys that can get after the quarterback and step back into coverage, you look at what they had in the safety room with a Mosley and Ward and all these guys. They added Tre'Davious Ward to the mix, and then the breakout of Greenlaw and Hufanga has really just taken the defense to a next level. Those 2 guys are maybe future players in the NFL, and they're all in the same defense with Nick Bosa and Fred Warner and all these guys in their prime. This defense is elite, but they ain't out there. It's the backups out there. It ain't them. They ain't playing in this game. And time and time again, we've talked about it, and time again, it's come true. When the pressure comes off of the 49ers defense to win games for them and it goes on to the 49ers offense, the guy wearing number 10 can't get it done. And it continues to happen year after year. And sometimes it'll happen in little small parts of a game, but those little small parts will cost the 49ers the game when they need Jimmy Garoppolo to drive down the field with 1 minute and 20 seconds left to win the game. And this one, it was just like, hey, our defense is not going to be able to hold up against them because we have all these injuries. We're going to need to score points. So they came out gunslinging, and he threw a couple picks. So and a couple of them were ugly. I think one of them was really ugly. I didn't see the other one. The one that I saw, he's trying to hit Debo in double coverage, was a pretty ugly interception too.
I had to pick up Jimmy G this week because old Kirk Cousins is on a bye. So sling away, Jimmy. Need a bunch of fantasy points from you, my friend. Jason G. I like your team, like the squad here. I would hang with Breece Hall. He's just going to get more touches and more opportunities throughout the rest of the year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, hit his heights of what he could hit, and you'd be buying at his peak.
And he doesn't need him because he has Cup and he has Tyreek Hill and Cup already. He doesn't need another
exactly.
wide.
Yeah, so I think you keep Breece Hall, unless somebody who's willing to be really crazy and just say like, oh yeah, I really want Breece Hall. Here's Justin Jefferson. Go ahead, feel free. Think about that. Make that trade.
My last thing on the Niners. Come on, they're 1-3 on the road now. They're 1-3 on the road this year, and that elite defense has played Chicago, Seattle, Denver, the Rams, Carolina, and Atlanta. You want to see how elite that defense is? We'll find out this Sunday when they play the Kansas City Chiefs.
If they're healthy, yeah. I mean, if they're down, Nick
doesn't matter, healthy or not, they're going to get their ass kicked.
Doesn't matter.
Well, you think they're going to get dominated by the Chiefs?
Oh, for sure.
If Nick Bosa, Greenlaw, Hufanga are all on the field, it will be.
We can sell.
They might not win. It'll be a close game.
Sell this game footage come Sunday of the 49ers Chiefs, and you could put that on any porn website after it because they're getting dominated.
Oh man, they're selling it. They're playing the role of the submissive this weekend. Vikings Dolphins right here. Joe sent me the image of the super hot sideline, right? Only because Kirk Cousins was frying up some dolphin on his sideline. He was out there. He wasn't really doing that much, but he did enough for me to get victories in fantasy, so that's all I really care about. Vikings continue to be the most underwhelming 5-1 team I've ever seen. Each week they win. They keep stacking up these wins. That's what you need to do in the NFL, and maybe they take that offense to another level. But my takeaway from this game was I've seen this Vikings team before. I've seen it with Kirk Cousins. I've seen it have success. I just don't trust it. Defensively, I don't trust Kirk Cousins. So enjoy the 5-1. I don't think that this Vikings team is really that good. There's like 4 teams in the NFC I'd rather have than them.
Well, the Vikings let the Dolphins do what they wanted, right? They let the wide receivers catch the ball. They just stopped them from scoring. They were bend, don't break, because Tyreek Hill and Waddle both went for 100 yards on this defense. It wasn't like they came out here and said, we got to shut down Tyreek, we got to shut down Waddle. No, they were like, hey, we'll let them go, but at the end of the day, they're going to be kicking field goals, or we're going to get that big stop at the end of the game. Kirk Cousins, Tony, is not an elite quarterback, and we know that, but both of us have him in fantasy. But he's doing what they need to do to get it correct. And Dalvin Cook is coming on, and I don't know why that sideline thing that I was talking about, I've been talking to my wife about it and trying to explain to her, and I was like, hey, there's a stadium in Miami. This is what they do. They shade it. It was just ridiculous. Look, I told you guys about porn websites. Now somebody's in here trying to advertise. But
that's just
that whole hot coldness, come on, that's crazy to build your stadium that way, that the shade and you can't even use fans on the opposing sideline because the other team's not using it. So that's how hot it is. It was 120 degrees on their sideline, and they're out there cooking and still said, hey, we're still better than you. And the game actually went the way I thought it was. Once I heard that Teddy Bridgewater passed concussion protocol, and that was Saturday, I was like, he's coming in the game at some time. They just don't want to announce that he's starting, and he did. He came in. So it's not like the Dolphins have an excuse and be like, well, we didn't have this, we didn't have that. You guys did. You guys had your game. You guys had your players. Tyreek Hill showed up, like I said, and Waddle showed up. You guys had your playmakers, and Tyreek Hill said that he could win with anybody at quarterback. You're just not doing it anymore. I told you that honeymoon is a little bit over in Miami, and now it's time to start changing a few things up and getting it correct. But when you run into a potential Super Bowl champions in the Minnesota Vikings, you got to bring your A game.
Yeah, it would be nice to see the Vikings get it going on the scoreboard because they're starting to get Dalvin Cook more involved, something that they struggle with early on in the year. And Justin Jefferson is obviously being Justin Jefferson when they need him and being that consistent wide receiver that they need. But the points just aren't going up on the board quite yet. This is a team that you could see being up in the top 5 when it comes to points scored and yards gained when you look at the talent on the offensive side of the ball. Another bad situation for the Dolphins at quarterback, man. Last week, halfway through the game, it has to go, or I think early in the game, it has to go from Teddy to Skylar Thompson, who you probably didn't prepare with all week. Now this week, you prepare with Skylar Thompson all week, and you have to go to Teddy Bridgewater halfway through the game, who you didn't prepare with all week. Kind of just some bad breaks for him in games that they already were playing tough teams as it was. I'm very interested to see how Tua does on Sunday. He's been cleared. I think he's going to play in this game. They're playing against the Steelers. Not the best opponent, but a formidable opponent. Let's see the difference between Tua and Teddy and Skylar Thompson. If there's a major difference, then maybe the Dolphins can get back on track.
You're muted, Tony. You're muted.
Sorry, garbage truck. It's a weird situation with the Dolphins, right? Because they're now about to go to start their 3rd starting quarterback in 3 weeks, and it's a situation where this is the guy that you want to be out there, but you also might not be able to be as risky in the offense as you'd like to be. I think McDaniel would also like to run the ball a lot, and he did discover a little bit of success with Raheem Mostert in this, so maybe they can continue to do that. I don't know. We'll see. I want the Dolphins to be good. I want them to be as good as they can be with Tua because I want this to be decided. It doesn't have to be fully decided, but I want to have more of an idea of what I fully think of Tua in the future of the Dolphins. There's really only one team to talk about here, and I don't think Harrison's with us anymore. So, on this planet he is, but not in the chat. He's been kind of quiet, which is good. The Rams, they got to get right, ? Against the Panthers. They did beat them 24-10, but it wasn't super impressive, just like I didn't think it was going to be. And we joked about on the Friday show where I actually convinced Joe to switch to the Panthers mid-rant, trying to placate to one of our friends, Harrison, here. The Panthers are fighting. They're giving up. I think CMC's got a strong chance to be traded, and the only one who could be left is maybe like J.C. Horn and DJ Moore. Like, that's the kind of like, and Jeremy Chin. Like, there's some guys that'll still be around, I think. But as far as the Rams go, the offensive line is so bad. And I'm not sure that that's something that you can fix. And they've had more injuries. I think they lost another one. Plus, they lost Noteboom for the year. So they are down to like practice squad of the practice squad type players that they're going to get. I'm wondering if there's a trade they can pull off. Everybody keeps saying OBJ needs to come there. No. It won't even matter if you have OBJ if you can't block anybody. That's the way I look at it. Shout out to Allen Robinson, who finally got a little something going for me this weekend.
Did you play him?
No, he was in one league. I had to. It's 16 teams. I still lost. Joe.
Nothing, Joe?
I don't want to talk about this game, Tony, because you already said what you did. You got me.
You got, son.
Harrison got you. It was Harrison.
I try to be friends with Harrison, and I was like, but then, and I was looking good. Like at halftime, I was like, yeah, I'm looking good. Carolina's doing it. And then their offense with PJ Walker just went.
PJ Walker
had absolutely no offense. And like we've been talking about Carolina all year, and like how their defense is good enough if they just had an offense that could do something. They just had an offense that could show any bit of life, and it just hasn't been there. I'm not impressed with the Rams still, even after. I mean, Allen Robinson, about damn time you get Allen Robinson involved. He actually finished with more fantasy points than Cooper Kupp, right? This week. So that's a good thing for us. But how much is this going to continue? Are the Rams on a bye this week? Maybe they could get it fixed again. But anytime you can get a win is a win. But you beat down a 1-5 Panther team that had nothing going for them, and you had to work for it, and you had to come out and you had to crawl and scratch for it in the second half to get this going. Hopefully, the Rams look at this as a bounce back game, but it doesn't. It wasn't an impressive bounce back win for me to go. I'm crowning the Rams the champions of the NFC West.
Yeah, and Matthew Stafford throws his 8th interception of the year in 6 games. Jesus. And like you said, the O-line problems are persistent. They need to sign guys. They need to go to other teams' practice squads. They need to just try and get a new set in there now, especially with Noteboom out for the season. I don't feel like watching this game. I was watching anything other than a Christian McCaffrey trade tryout. Like, trying out for all these teams and looking at them.
This is the one last thing. I had this thought that I shared with somebody this week. Do you think that McVay was like, hey, let's showcase the best we can of Allen Robinson in this game? Maybe we might be able to get some picks that, we're going to have to give up when we do trade for other players. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think there was a little piece of that? Because I know he would rather be running all this stuff with Skoranek. No?
No. The Rams need to lay in their damn bed. They got their Super Bowl. They said F them picks. And now you got to go and look at Eric Fisher and Daryl Dawkins and some other guys that are maybe on the trade block. You don't get to get a scapegoat and trade Allen Robinson for picks. You said F them picks.
I love that you brought up Daryl Dawkins, Chocolate Thunder, Hall of Fame NBA player. Is Daryl Dawkins? Which one are you talking about?
Dawson Dawkins? I don't know his name now. He used to play tackle for the Bills. He's still a free agent.
Maybe it is the same name. I just never realized it. I'm going to go look it up, though. I just thought you were mentioning they were that desperate. They're taking.
Oh, no. If they're that desperate, they get Shaq out there, maybe?
Yeah.
Why is it how much have they offered Whitworth to come out of retirement for one more season?
I don't think his back or his wife wants that to happen. Like, his wife is like pretty happy that like he's still got some brain cells left.
I bet you guys can't beat this TV deal.
I want to know how bad Darrell Williams is from the Buffalo Bills last year that he's not on the team right now.
That's what I'm talking about. Sorry.
That's what I thought it was. Let's move on. Cardinals, Seahawks. Geno Smith. Here's my takeaway from this, and I'm gonna be as polite as I possibly can. Geno Smith is compounding how bad Russell Wilson looks with every single snap and play that happens for the Seahawks. Because on one hand, it's not like you could even look and go, oh man, the Seahawks wish that they still had Russ and things would be better there if he would have never left and he knew the system and everything would have been fine and would have been ever. They look better with Geno this year than they did last year with Russ in there. So like they upgraded there and Russ is doing bad and Geno's like being super efficient and throwing touchdowns and letting it rain all over Seattle. The 12 seem to love it and they're happy. I just watched this and I'm like, congratulations for Geno. Like I'm really happy for him. Like this is a lot of fun for him to be having success. Now I hope this weekend he gets absolutely shredded, gets smoked. But it's been a wonderful first 6 weeks of the season. And every time I see the highlights or watch the game, I'm like, fucking Geno Smith is just like, hey, Russ, take this. Take it all down there in Denver. Drip.
Well, this was Geno Smith's worst game of the season, right? If correct me if I'm wrong, but looking at his stats and everything, this was probably the worst that he's played. And at the worst, he was 20 of 31 for 197, Tony. He was sacked 5 times. I think we were expecting a high-scoring game in this one, like the offenses would go back and forth, and it was just a field goal shootout. And good thing that I picked up the field goal kicker. Who was it? The kicker for the team? Myers. I picked up Myers this week because I had Daniel Carson on a bye, so he helped me out 16 points in fantasy. So I like that field goal game. But the Arizona's defense has been coming on, and Tony was calling it earlier.
No, Mike was. It was
one
Mike.
of you guys. I don't listen to Mike anymore, so I blocked Mike out. So one of you guys were calling the defense was coming on and getting better. So that's what's carrying it. And then, but we're looking at this offense that's supposed to be a genius offense, and Murray's the only one doing anything. Like I heard Rondale Moore's coming back. Well, what the hell did he do? Rondale Moore didn't do crap. Oh, we're going to get the ball to Zach Ertz. Well, you got the ball to Zach Ertz. He didn't do nothing. And these running backs, your situation with your running backs, we talked about that in the offseason, that we told you James Conner wasn't going to repeat his performance from last year, and now they're struggling to have it. Murray was their best running back. He had 100 yards this week, and they still lost. Now we're expecting them to come back with more weapons this week. You know who I was impressed with? Kenneth Walker. And if Kenneth Walker is this damn good, like what he showed the last 2 weeks, we got to ask Pete Carroll what the hell he saw in Penny to have Walker on the bench if he's up here electrifying your offense even more and he's breaking these bigger carries. Like, how do you hold somebody like Walker on the bench if he's better than Rashad Penny?
Well, I think that the way that Pete Carroll's doing it and the way he was doing it until the injury is the way that a guy like Derrick Henry was produced, for example, to where when he hits his prime build and the prime in his career, he also doesn't have like a bunch of wear and tear already on his tires. That's kind of maybe the mindset behind it. Run Penny into the ground, then once his contract expires, we already got a guy on a rookie deal that's better than him behind him. But yeah, I understand what you're saying though, because as far as winning games, and now the Seahawks are 3-3, and in the wild card picture, you'd want the best player on the field to win those games. And things with the Cardinals, man, the offense has just failed in this game. They did not need very much. They just needed to have an average game. They could have came out victors in this one. We'll see how improved they are with D-Hop back on the field. But we saw how they were with a receiver that was going off Marquise Brown. So how much more can D-Hop go off than Brown was going? Kyler Murray, I wonder how many tackles he broke in this game. I don't know how long you can go 10 carries for 100 yards and, drop back 23 times with the battle line in front of you and stay healthy throughout the whole year.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun mid-season Hard Knocks for the Cardinals for sure. They trade for Robbie Anderson on a short week. D-Hop's coming back from suspension and looks like kind of angry, embarrassed, and depressed all at the same time. Like I was just seeing him and he's like, what am I walking back into? It's a mess. This Ken Walker's for real, but Rashad Penny is like highest rush yards per carry, like Jamal Charles and Barry Sanders. Like he's good. There was a reason that Rashad Penny was. Problem with Rashad Penny is he's always getting injured, and the sad news for Rashad is that he is in a contract year, Mike. He will be a free agent, so they were going to run him and let him try and earn some money this season, and now he's going to be rehabbing a pretty serious injury and then having to go out and get paid. So I'm hoping the best for Rashad Penny because when he has played, he's been very productive, and that's fun. I like that. I like to see it.
And the Cardinals, we can talk about how the Cardinals had a tough schedule to start their season. It's not getting much easier if you look at the remaining of their schedule. It's getting a little bit tougher. So if the Cardinals continue to just rely on Kyler, he's not going to be the answer. He can't do it all. And we're seeing that. So, Cliff, if you want to keep your job, you got to make some changes, dude.
I was about to say, I think that they may be a team like the Raiders last year, where they might benefit from doing a coaching change in the middle of the year right now.
Who, the Cardinals?
The Cardinals, yeah, they may benefit a little.
Can you imagine he gets fired mid-episode of Hard Knocks?
You're just thinking about Hard Knocks for everything with this team. Trade for CMC also. Trade for CMC and fire Cliff on the same day.
Well, it's hard because the leader in the division has 3 wins, and you're sitting there with 2 and 4. That's what made the Raider win and the Raider comeback so good for Arizona is that they should be sitting at 1 and 5 right now. Instead, they're sitting at 2 and 4 in a division that somebody's leading at 3 and 3. So that's what's making them look better than they are.
Yeah.
Oh, they're getting a full episode of Hard Knocks. I'll continue to talk about Hard Knocks out of that Raiders win, Joe.
I can't wait for that episode. They're
getting a full episode out of that. Kingsbury did say, I don't know if it was last week or this week, he did say that if it's good for the team for him to give up the offensive play calling, he would do what's in the best interest of the team to win. And I was like, just more problems. More problems here. More problems at the good luck, Cardinals. Good luck. I will be picking them. I'm going to let you guys know right now. I'll be picking the Saints on Thursday Night Football. I have about 7 minutes left. So if these run long, you guys are more than welcome to handle them. Bills Chiefs. My takeaway from Bills Chiefs was simply this. Josh Allen and everybody else there was like everything kept repeating itself, right? Like everything was like getting to the point. But this time when the Grim Reaper got the football back, he didn't have the cheetah, right? They even had like a break before halftime. They scored with like 17 seconds left. Like they did that to the Bills again, like drove down in 2 plays into field goal range or whatever it was, like right before halftime and repeated the same thing. But at the end of the game, the difference to me was they didn't have Tyreek Hill and Josh Allen has another year of experience. So like this was good. We can start to see the separation going when, hey, you lost your most dynamic person and you lost this. And then while we were talking, just to say this, I got a message from one of my many apps where it said Odell Beckham, strong contender, the Chiefs. Chiefs becoming a strong contender in the Odell Beckham sweepstakes. So, Mike, I know you hate that.
Don't pass that to me, Joe.
Odell Beckham is linked to every damn team this offseason.
Yeah.
My one thing out of this is finally Juju Smith shows up and they get what they wanted out of him. But Buffalo wasn't scared in the 4th quarter. And with a minute left, they scored the touchdown. They weren't going to go, hey, we're going to try to slow play this. We'll kick a field goal and then we'll get close and we'll try to waste time. No, they went and said, screw it. If there's a minute left, there's a minute left. Where they didn't let last year's 13-second bother them. They scored that touchdown. They knew there was a minute left, and they had to go out there and stop Patrick Mahomes, and they did it. And that's what kind of impressed me because you can let that, like when there's a comeback like that with 13 seconds left, that could bother you, and that could affect the way that you call the games coming up against them. And I didn't see that. They didn't do that. So Buffalo played good. It was a great matchup, and I can't wait for the next one. But other than that, it was everything that we thought it was going to be, a back and forth game. between the two teams, and that's the only thing. We knew Kansas City there was going to be a game where there would be missing Tyreek Hill, and Juju played great, and he did everything they asked him for, but he's not Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see these two go at it again because we saw a little bit in that fourth quarter of what they did in that playoff game last year. And the reason it happens like this is because both teams know each other so well. So they're kind of playing it safe, and then when the game's on the line, they unleash it all. But in the playoffs, they unleashed that from the jump. And I think if the Bills do that in the playoffs against the Chiefs again, this is going to be a 44-20 game, not a 24-20 game, because the Chiefs just don't have as much firepower as Buffalo Bills right now. Gabe Davis is coming on. This dude is a phenomenal deep threat, and Stephon Diggs is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL at the top of his game right now with Josh Allen hurling dudes that are standing straight up. So Bills look scary. I'm a fan of a team in the AFC, and I don't want to run into the Bills to the AFC Championship game if we have to.
The only thing
I was just going to say, if you made an argument and you said, I have this Stephon Diggs as the best wide receiver in the NFL, I'm not going to fight you. Like, if you said he's better than Cup and Chase and whatever, like, it's not – I don't have it that way, but I wouldn't fight you on it.
The only thing I have a problem with the Bills is they can't get it going. Like, it's either McKenzie or Gabe Davis. But I want to see when they're both on the field and you can get both of them going at the same time. That would make it even more scarier offense. But it's like right now, one of them's been hurt, or one of them's when they're both on the field, he's leaning towards one. That's the only issue I have with the Buffalo Bills. Other than that, and I want to give a shout out to Butker, or what is Mike call him, Buttlicker, the kicker. That guy's been injured. First kick back, 62 damn yards. Hey, that's awesome.
Crazy. I actually have a story.
I don't think people are understanding that we're seeing a difference in kickers. Like 60 yards is the norm now. Like that was when I was growing up, you never saw that shit.
Yeah, it's the norm for Buttlicker, Tucker, and like a couple guys in the league, Carlson. But yeah, it's funny because Rose was kind of streaming kickers, and she had streamed Amendola the week that he had a terrible week. He had like a decent week, and then a terrible week. And she was like, who should I get now? And I was like, well, I know Butker's injured, but is he available? You can put him on your injured reserve. So she picks him up and puts him in, and then she's like, you think he's going to do good? I'm like, yeah, I think he's going to do good. Well, fast forward to Sunday. He's about to kick that kick, and I'm like, watch this, Rose. This is your kicker that you got for free. Bang, hits it immediately. Now she's a Buttlicker fan.
You'll love to get those 5 points. It's such a great way to start the day. I had the same thing with McManus for the Monday night game.
Dallas, Philly?
Yeah, I got 3 minutes.
We can power through it.
That's good because we don't need to talk about Dallas, Philly.
Eagles, Cowboys. My takeaway from this is Eagles are the best team in the NFC. Not the NFC East. They're the best team in the NFC. They have, I think, all 3 phases of their football is winnable football on the road, at home, in bad weather, in good weather, and whatever. It doesn't matter. You got playmakers. You got big, strong people. The secondary is going to, I think, even find ways to blend together even better. It's the best team in the NFC.
I had a Cowboy fan try to break down this game to me and tell me, because I told him, I said, the Eagles whooped your butt. The Eagles came out here. They were the better team. They proved it. They laid off the gas, in my opinion, and they laid off and went prevent defense and all that crap. And he was like, no, let me show you. The Cowboys were better than this, and this. No, the Cowboys weren't. The one bad thing the Cowboys did, and I thought they panicked early in the game when they were down 14-0, is they went for it on that 4th down on the 35-yard line. That was some bullshit. You don't even do that with Dak Prescott as your quarterback. You don't do that. You're down 14. You kick the damn ball, and you don't allow a rival team on the road to do that. That's horrible coaching right there and horrible play calling. And we found out that Cooper Rush, and we can shut some of these Dallas Cowboy fans up, that Cooper Rush isn't better than Dak. He's not the answer. He did great. He's a great backup quarterback. He's a great stopgap. He did his thing. But the Eagles are the better team right now between these two.
Exactly. And what we thought was going to happen happened. The Eagles did make Cooper Rush look like a backup quarterback. We kind of assumed that day would come when a defense with the guys that can send pressure and drop back into coverage at the same time, we're going to make a backup quarterback look like a backup quarterback. It's not all bad for the Dallas Cowboys, though. This defense still looked really good in this game. There were spots where they got off the field and gave their offense a chance. And when Dak comes back, when he left, the offense was a little bit hurt. CeeDee Lamb was a little banged up. Michael Gallup was banged up. They had O-lineman struggling a little bit. Now he comes back, and everyone's thriving with Cooper Rush. Just plug Dak in. It was better than Cooper Rush. And the Cowboys are going to have a really good offense. They're going to have a really good defense. And they're probably going to make a wild card spot or maybe push the Eagles down the stretch of the season. So it's not all bad news. Cowboys fans don't got to get all stressed out because they lost this game. Also, can we get CMC to Philadelphia, please? How fun would that be?
That would be terrible. Like, I do not want the Eagles to add Christian McCaffrey to that.
Please.
Miles Sanders is plenty back enough for them, and so is Kenneth Gainwell. Like, they don't also need Christian McCaffrey on that team. No,
I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I don't want the Chargers to have to play the Eagles in the Super Bowl. That's what I'm saying. There's a nightmare matchup for the Chargers, and I think CMC can put them over the top. Now let's go to the Chargers. Unbiased opinion on this, and it's still that my takeaway is I don't want to say anything more about the Broncos. I'll say about the Chargers. Chargers can't put together a complete football game. They either play really good defense or really good offense or neither or whatever it is, but there's never one where like every phase of the game I'm like, you can have a hiccup here or there, but like offensively just wasn't very good. And I get that the Broncos were a really good defense. No creativity, just lacks a lot of anything. And it's just like they won the game. They're 4-2. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy about it. There's just not a lot of me thinking that it's a great 4-2 start. I think they could be a great team, not a great 4-2. Can't put together a full football game.
Yeah, as a Charger fan, you can't be pissed off because a win is a win, right? You take it. It's an ugly ass win and it's a bad win, but you take it. And if it wasn't for that muff punt or the guy getting pushed in that should have been a flag on the last play, then we don't know. It would have been a tie. Like that's how bad this game was. Russell Wilson and the Broncos have been prime time every time, and everybody and they've gone to overtime 2 weeks in a row, and we're like, we don't want to see fucking overtime. We didn't want to see overtime in this game. That's how bad it was. And I'm a Raider fan, and I don't like watching the Chargers, but the Chargers piss me the fuck off because they go and they play down to their opponents every damn week. Why can't you just come out there and be the team that everybody expected you to be? Everybody built the Chargers up and said, this team is going to go out there and dominate. And this is a game that they should have put their offense on for the whole world on display for everybody watching. All right, Tony's out of here. And the whole offense and the whole world should have known. Tony's guy finally showed up. Palmer's finally showed up and got 9 catches. But it wasn't exciting to me. Like, it would piss me off. And then you shut down Russell Wilson. But at what time? At one point, Russell Wilson was like, oh, crap. The Chargers are letting Russell Wilson be the Russell Wilson of old? Like, oh, my God. Are we serious? And then finally the Russell Wilson showed up, and he was crap. And he only had like 15 yards in the second half and overtime. But you, as a Charger fan, like this game has to piss you off. Like, how bad does your coach have to be that you're barely beating the Broncos in an overtime game, Mike? Like and then your big time prize possessions of you brought in Van Noy, you brought in I can't even think of his name now. Who's the cornerback? J.C. Jackson. You brought in those two guys thinking they were going to make a difference, and they're not. Khalil Mack is out there doing his thing, but where are these guys that you brought in to stop this? Like, you can't be happy right now as a Charger fan, even though you are 4-2.
Well, we did stop them. Even like the Russell Wilson touchdown passes, if you go and look at them, individual plays, he could have pulled some out the stands and make those passes. Those were blown coverages. Where a DB is playing man coverage when he's supposed to have a deep zone, so there's no one in the deep zone. That DB was number 27, which isn't a good sign for us. But we were down 4 all-pro players as well. Like, I don't know how many teams can lose their top 4 players in the team and also have a banged-up quarterback and third-string centers who play guard, and all this happened and put up a ton of points. But at the end of the day, it just goes to show, and the biggest thing that I take away from the game so far for the Chargers this year is that if the Chargers come into the game and they're out game planned, and say this week against the Broncos, whatever the Broncos said that they were going to do, Mike Williams said to me himself, he said that we weren't getting the looks that we were expecting. So you're telling me that when you don't get the looks that you were expecting all week in practice, that there is no backup plan. that it's just whatever. This is a wrap. We have to hopefully win the defensive battle. There's no adjustments, no mid-game changing of the looks, tweaking anything, shortening routes, lengthening routes. All that shit that Philip Rivers did before is just gone. They don't do that anymore.
That's worse, Mike. That's worse than what you just said is worse. I wouldn't want to hear that as a Charger fan. You're telling me that the Chargers got out-coached by Nathaniel Hackett?
Not out-coached necessarily, but maybe I guess you could say out-coached. But I'm saying like the game plan that the defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris, I believe it's Raheem Morris, for the Broncos put in place was a better game plan than what Joe Lombardi put in place for our offense. And our offense just like played into it. And they don't do anything mid-game to shift towards it. It's not necessarily that the Chargers stink and all this talent on this roster is failing. The talent is kind of doing their job minus J.C. Jackson. Cal Van Noy is playing fine. I'm getting more out of Van Noy than I expected because Van Noy is playing Joey Bosa's position, and they're not running the ball at him and dominating that side of the line by any means.
Maybe I don't know. The Chargers just seem like they're going through the motions. I don't watch it. I'm not a big Charger fan, but to me, it just like they were like, oh, they felt that they were crowned already, that they were the best team in the division, and it's just like, oh yeah, we're better than everybody, and they just come out here and then they're like, oh shit, we got punched in the mouth. Well, come out there and show that you are the best team. Come out there and punch them in the mouth first, and then dominate them the rest of the game. Don't take that first hit and then have to react to it. And that's what I feel like the Chargers are doing. Like they know they're good, but they're just like, let's see what this other team does, and then they get punched in the mouth and like, oh, okay, now we got to come back and do it. No, go out there, lay a couple haymakers, and put the team to rest, and show that you are this talented team that everybody knows that you are.
Yeah, we've been down 10-0 in 3 of our 4 wins so far and came back in those games. And it always is like the first 3 drives of the game. We'll go down by 2 possessions, and all of a sudden they settle in and they start dominating. Like you look at the last 3 quarters of the game, they outscore the other team by 10 points and end up getting the win barely still.
The only good thing I got from this game is you guys shut Russell Wilson up, and he doesn't say, let's ride no more.
Well, he's not saying nothing no more. He's got a bad hammy, a bad shoulder. He's about to be, let's watch the game from the sideline. That's what's about to happen, unfortunately, for him. And
that team is falling apart. You saw it on the sideline. Players are talking to each other. What they did to Melvin Gordon is ridiculous. Like, I understand he has a fumbling problem, but you're splitting carries with Devontae Adams and Melvin Gordon, and now Latavius Murray comes in, and you're like, hey, he's our main guy? Like, they did Melvin Gordon dirty.
Speaking of picks, they might be a team that might want to sell some guys for some picks because they don't got any picks to improve the team, and they don't got much cap space to improve the team a ton.
And Jerry Jeudy didn't look happy on that sideline.
No, maybe he'd want to get traded, or Melvin Gordon, or maybe one of these defensive players.
Yeah, and we should do a trade deadline show because that's coming up November 1st, and we should talk about all the players that could possibly be traded or that we would like to see traded. Just hypothetically, why not throw it out there? But that was week.
There's a lot of teams that kind of have the chips in this year, where they've kind of invested everything into this season. That's why we thought it was gonna be such a crazy season. I think the trade deadline is gonna be an active trade deadline this year. I think it is.
Yeah, and I think that's the one good thing about the extra week in the season is teams aren't afraid to bring on players at the trade deadline. Because remember, a couple of years ago, we never saw players traded at the deadline, and now it's like, okay, we'll do it, we'll make it, we'll take that extra week, get them ready for our team, and teams are willing to make those trades. And I'm with you, Mike. I think a lot of teams are making trades because this whole season has been one hell of a weird season.
Yeah, everyone's starting to see like where are the holes? We need to fill them now, or we're just not going to win this year if we don't fill them.
Yeah, and
desperate. Tampa, Los Angeles, both Los Angeleses, honestly. Tampa, Los Angeles, Green Bay. These teams. This is like last chance, guys. Now or never.
Yeah, and some of these teams like the Panthers, they're gonna trade some guys, but then they're gonna get calls on some of the younger guys like J.C. Horn and stuff, and you got to make your decision. Like, do I want to build around them, or we just want to start off all the way? You know, so it's gonna be interesting. And then some of these teams that are still in the mix, their ownership might be like, yeah, we're in the mix right now, but are we really that good of a team? And they might sell off, and then the fan bases are gonna be pissed off.
Yeah, especially if it's active and it's like people are selling players and getting a lot of picks for them. It's just going to become like a little butterfly effect where everyone is just paying way too much for these players. Like I saw the price tag on Christian McCaffrey and I was like, damn, but someone's probably going to do it.
like the Giants. Like we all think the Giants are 5-1.
Yeah.
But what if and they're being carried? But Barkley's not under contract no more. And what if somebody comes and offers them a big deal for and the Giants organization is sitting there going, yeah, we are 5-1, but how good of a 5-1 team are we?
Their fan base will burn their whole stadium to the ground.
Yes, they would. They would go, like you're sitting there, like a team goes, I'll give you a first round pick for Barkley, which you never thought that you would get before this season.
Yeah.
But if a team comes at you and goes, hey, we'll give you a first round pick next year for Barkley, and you're sitting there as the New York Giants and you're like, yeah, we're 5-1, but god damn, we're overachieving and we probably won't make it. This won't be the run, and we can get a first round pick next year. Like you as the ownership, you got to be like, yeah, we'll do that. But then you're also thinking about your fan base and how bad you're going to piss them off. And you're like, okay, we just gave up this season for our future, which is the smart thing to do. But your fan base ain't going to be happy with it.
Not at all. Not at all. Well, Jump, we went over all the games. We did it.
We hit all the games. I appreciate everybody in the comment sections. A lot of fantasy football questions, and that's cool. We might not, like, when we do these shows, guys, we want to answer your fantasy questions, and we'll answer them when we get to, but sometimes we're talking about the games, and that's why we'll just answer you in the chat sometimes. But we're answering every single question that you guys are putting on here, and we want to get back to each and every one of you guys as much. So if we don't pull it on the screen, we do answer it in the chat. So that is one good thing that we are trying to do more and more, and we're trying to – I know because, hey, fantasy football is what's going on right now, and everybody wants to win their league. A lot of stuff going on. You want to make those trades depending on what your record is. So I appreciate everybody that was in the chat today.
Yes, thank you, everybody. The chat was buzzing the entire show, hour and a half show. We don't usually do them that long anymore, so we appreciate you guys for staying tuned in.
Yeah, and we'll see you probably Friday morning, Friday afternoon. You guys do the pick'em show. I won't be able to make it, but these guys will be here, and I'll put my picks in, and you guys come root for me and how great I am.
Team Mike.
Hit that outro, Mike.
All right, let's get out of here. Thanks, guys.
Tony, come back, and you come live it all on me.